Thank you. It's great to be here as always. I think when you look out, I don't know how you can not like this time of year. I know for me, and I always reiterate this to our guys, there's a couple of times a year that I like the best. First one is recruiting season, when we're recruiting our new crop of guys that come in with our veterans, and the other one's when we report, seeing all the guys come into camp, and this year's like no other. The only difference is you gotta love South Dakota. One day it's 90, and a couple of days later it's 60. But I'd also like to thank all the media for attending. It's a great group here today, and anytime we can get exposure and coverage for this great university and our football program, we're going to do that. Also, thank you to Ryan Hilgeman for setting this up. Like everybody, we're looking forward to the 2015 season, and for many reasons. We got an outstanding group of seniors this year. Although small, it's a very good group, great group of leaders, and we're excited about how they're going to lead us through this season. Also, when you look through our roster, I know you're going to see there's a huge youth movement. Whether it be our redshirt sophomores, our redshirt freshmen, or our true freshmen, with only 6 seniors and we're talking a handful of juniors, there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to be asked to step up in different roles, and we're very excited about that. Also, very fortunate to have the administration we have, starting with Jed Albers, our athletic director. Coach Albers is very supportive of us and everything that we do. And then also Dr. Jackson, our president, coming into a second year. Always has been somebody that has been there for us on the sideline and at different functions as far as fundraising, and we really appreciate his support. Also, you look at some facility upgrades that are going on here with everything. Kathy Johnson, Randy Culver, 2 people kind of spearheading that. We are making some changes with our weight room. There's locker room changes, not necessarily for us this year, but the other sports. And then also you're going to see some new things at the stadium this year with some I guess, kind of press box type stuff, some portable suites and things that are really going to enhance the game day experience. So always some great things going on here at Black Hills State, and I'm very proud to be a part of that. Like every year, you have high expectations, and this year's like no other. When we went through it, going through the moving into D2, we know that over the last couple of years, we have got to find ways to win close games. That's kind of been the thing that we haven't got over the hump in. We've made some good strides in some areas. We've closed that gap in some places. But we've got to try to make sure that we know how to win those close games when we get in them, and that's very important to us. We lost 19 seniors. How do you replace 19 seniors? You don't necessarily replace them, but we're looking at the younger guys, those 6 seniors that come in and lead us and do the things that we need to do. We're going to rely heavily on them and our 24 letter winners. And then, like I said, we have 50+ newcomers coming into this program. So very excited about this year. I know you guys are going to have questions individually about some different people. We also made some staff changes over the off season, and very excited about that with Coach Eastburn, our offensive coordinator, Coach Kerr, and then the guys that we had on staff before, Coach Petrino, really stepping up in some different roles as our recruiting coordinator, and all of our graduate assistants and full-time guys. I'm really lucky and blessed to be surrounded around a very great staff, which makes my job a lot easier. But as we look forward, the one thing I'm looking forward to is September 5th at Pocatello, Idaho. We played Idaho State 3 years ago, my very first game as a head coach. They're going to be a very formidable opponent. I know they're ranked in the top 25 preseason in the FCS. We know it'll be a very tough contest for us going in, but it's going to kind of show where we're at, what things we need to work on, and we're excited about that challenge. And I know our guys, and I am as well. So with that, I will take any questions you may have and talk about some Jacket football.
Well, you always have to start with quarterback, right? That's the
You
first
bet.
question every year, but obviously you had a battle going, replaced Ward Anderson. Talk about how that's going right now.
It's going very well. We knew last year coming out of the season, Ward was a senior, going to have to be somewhere that we look to replace him. And when you look all the way back to last spring, we had Zach Meyer and Vince Sabakin on our team, really came and had a very good spring, both of them. Had excellent spring balls. I thought really, matured through that spring ball season, and was something that really kind of gave some confidence to us, and I think to them, as far as moving some people into that race. Then, we also went to the recruiting process, and we recruited 2 very good young freshmen in Melvin Bobo and Ryan Hummel. And as you look at it, no one's been crowned the quarterback yet. It's definitely going to be a race to see who's going to take the field on September 5th. But I feel very good with whoever we end up behind the center because number one, it's not just about that quarterback guy, but the guys that surround him. But we've got some guys that I feel with our veterans and with our young guys who are very much up to the challenge of kind of see who's going to be that guy.
Do you have a timetable as to when you want to kind of make that decision?
I would say, after our second scrimmage on Sunday, we'll have a better idea. It's tough. Today was our first day in full pads. We will have a scrimmage on Wednesday where we will evaluate all of our quarterbacks. Then we will in turn have another scrimmage on that next Sunday. I would say after that we'll have a pretty good idea of definitely who's our top 2 or 3, and then we'll be able to mark it down from there.
The defense, you're kind of changing your schemes a little bit. What's going to be your basic defense this year?
Our base defense is going to be a 3-4, but we're going to be able to move, with our scheme and our outside linebackers, and personnel-wise, we're going to personnel a lot of people, bring people in and out of the game, but, our base scheme is going to be a 3-4.
And today being your first day in full pads, it's probably your third day of overall practice. What are some things you were liking that you're seeing from your team, a couple of days in? I'm
liking the tempo, and as I met with them last night in our team meeting, I like our competitiveness. Everything we do, we really tried as a staff and as a group, really add an element of competitiveness in every practice that we do. And we've added a lot of situational stuff where, we'll blow a whistle and both teams will go on the sideline, offense on one side, defense on the other, and I'm telling them a situation and they got to come out and they got to be able to respond. And that can happen anywhere in practice because it could be a sudden change, could be a third down. And so we're really trying to add that element of competitiveness in it, and it does get a little competitive. Last night I had a couple people, the players, that they get competitive, and I'm not saying they question this, but I'm the official out there, and I don't always make them happy with what happens. I want that. I would rather have them have that competitive juices than really go, oh, it's okay. But I've really been pleased with that. I've been pleased with the way our veteran guys are leading our younger guys. It's not just the coaches out there that are teaching, it's our veteran guys. But I love our tempo. We're an up-tempo team, and we know we're going to get tempoed on defense. And so we've really had some great practices with some great tempos. And I feel like our kids are understanding that we don't condition a lot, we condition in practice. And if we continue to do that, that's what's going to help us down the road.
Talk about special teams and what kind of improvement and who you got doing what right now and what kind of improvement do you need to make?
Oh, on special teams, I think, everybody talks about it. It's the third facet of your game. How much time you're going to spend with it. And I'll tell you, we put a huge emphasis on it. We added more meeting time and we added more practice time to our emphasis with that. And I think that, number one, shows us how important it is to us. When you look at that, we have 2 freshmen, Jess Edens and Dietrich Becker, who will be vying for the kicking job. Also, Jess Edens is also a punter. And we also have Trey Fleming, who last year was hurt, so wasn't able to play for us, but he also kicks and punts. And so, those 3 guys will kind of be working into that role. We have a bunch of guys returning as our long snappers. Damon Goldhammer is one of our long snappers. Andrew Blaylock's a short snapper. And then we also have Bradley Adamson as our holder. And then we have some very good and talented return men. I mean, you can look all the way from Eric Harrison Belcher to Bradley to, go right down the list of guys. And a lot of our young guys have stepped up and trying to assume some of those roles. And that'll sort itself out once we kind of start getting our 2 deep and understanding. But very pleased with where our special teams is. We're a lot of drill work these last few days, just kind of finding out, the guys that can do the things we're going to ask of them, whether it be on whatever special team it is. And as we get to that 2 deep roster, now we'll start concentrating more on getting teams and stuff like that. But, Coach Petrino does a tremendous job, and it's not just him. He leads that group, but all of our assistants, really take a vital role in coaching their part during that practice. And like I said, we added more time. It is so vitally important. We want to be showtime, but we want to be game changers. And that's something we got to have an emphasis on, because last year there's times where it changed the game for us, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. It's got to be something we're always thinking about in the back of our mind and really put an emphasis on.
You're in a tough conference with the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. I mean, they had the national champions a year ago. How do you get your team, you're picked down, 9th, I think, in the preseason. How do you get your team up into that top 5 and even higher?
I think at the beginning, we got to learn to win the close games. We've narrowed the gap. I have no doubt in my mind. In the last 3 years, and I've been in the RMAC for over 25 years, I know the RMAC. I know what kind of caliber of play they have. Yes, we know they have the national champion. But I think it comes down to our guys believing in themselves, and following the things that we do, and understanding that, hey, there is no excuses out there. You can come in and say, well, we've lessened the gap now, and now we got to find a way to win those games that we've been in, and I'm going to go back to, who's the one team that beat the national champions? Fort Lewis. Okay, we beat Fort Lewis out on this field by over 30 points. And so we can, any given day, you know, I always say that football's not round, it bounces 100 different directions. We got to make sure that we're taking advantage of every opportunity in every game. And, you know, and it starts with Idaho State first, but, you know, it's a very tough conference, but this conference has shown anybody can beat anybody. And I know as we've matured and as we've progressed as a team in the last 3 years, you know, and through recruiting and through leadership and things, you know, we're at that point where we have to make sure that we're getting over that hump. And I have no doubt in my mind that what our players that are sent over here, they know that, they feel that. They're tired of, hey, you almost got that team, but it didn't happen. And you know there's no slouches in the RMAC, no matter who it is, on the road, at home, and when we're going to continue to strive to be better in all those facets.
And with the national champion coming out of the RMAC, what do you see as the effect on the conference by that happening?
Oh, I think it's great notoriety. You know, Coach Krysl, I have the utmost respect for him. He's been a guy, you know, we talk probably every other week during the season, you know, just talk football. You know, probably don't talk a lot during the week that we play,
Yeah.
but you know, he's a guy that, you know, really built that thing from the ground up. I appreciate anybody that, you know, can build something and have some success. But on game day, I want to beat him just like I want to beat anybody else. But what it's done for the conference to show that how difficult, how tough this conference is, you know, like I said, Fort Lewis beat them, the only team that beat them, and they finished it towards the end. I mean, it just shows any given day you got to be ready to play. But I think it's done a lot for our conference to show the level of play that it's increased. Used to be kind of you had your top few teams and then you had your sellers. Now there's a lot of parity, and I think, you know, I guarantee you, Coach Krysl is telling his guys, you know, you better not take anybody for granted because they got the bullseye on their chest now. But, you know, for us, it's something, yeah, when we play them, we know we're going to be playing at that point in time the reigning national champs, and that's great. But until we get to them, you know, that part really doesn't matter. But it's just a great notoriety for the conference.
Yeah, and from a recruiting standpoint, obviously it's probably going to help Pueblo.
Yeah.
I think it helps other teams in the conference.
Yeah,
too.
they can't have everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're going to recruit Colorado and they're going to recruit their guys. And the bottom line is some of them aren't going to get an offer or aren't going to go there. And, you know, we want to get some of those kids. And it is. It's something that we all can build off of. You got to find a way to make everything a positive and churn it your own way. And yeah, it's going to help them immensely. That's great. But we can't control them. We can only control us. And I know our guys, our coaches, everybody will be excited for that game when it comes up. And it's a great opportunity for us.
Defensively, you guys gave up 37 points per game last year. Was that kind of a point of emphasis in the offseason to kind of improve on that and get that number down?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a huge. You can't win games giving up 37 points. There's no doubt, and that's been a huge emphasis for us from last year. You know, we made some changes staff-wise. We made some scheme changes. You know, and really feel like our guys have, I mean, fast, physical, and alert. That's what our motto is. That's what Coach Curry, you're going to hear him say that probably 20 times. You go out to practice, you'll hear him say that 20 times in probably the first 10 minutes. But our guys are going to play fast, they're going to play physical, and we need to play alert. And you know, and that's how our defense encompasses that goal and that mission. And you know, is it going to be easy? No, because in this conference, you got defense or offenses just coming at you. And you know, we'll be tested right off the bat. Idaho State's they were one of the top offenses in FCS last year, and so you know, there's not going to starting with that first game, and then you know, I know South Dakota Mine's right down the road. They got a very potent offense with a returning quarterback that's very explosive. So we will be tested early in that facet. I know our guys are up to the challenge, but that has been a point of emphasis, no doubt. You know, we have to make sure that we improve ourselves and the points allowed. You know, but you know, whether it's points, yards, whatever it may be, if we want to have opportunities to win. And our guys are excited and ready to go.
First 3 games on the road, is that good, bad? How do you look at that? It's, you know, obviously, if you got a young team, you can kind of get away from certain situations and spend more time with them. But you always like to play at home, though, too.
Which means I don't have to unpack my suitcase.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, you know, we've got to be better on the road. I'm not a guy that likes to, you know, cover anything up. We did not win a game on the road last year. We have to be better on the road. And when you look at it, yeah, our first 3 games are on the road. I'm going to tell you that second game, it's 45 minutes down the road. I don't necessarily count that as a road game. Yeah, we don't play on our home field, but we're going to sleep in our own beds, that kind of stuff. So that part of it, you know, doesn't really affect me. If it was 3 long road trips, I'd be a little bit more nervous, you know, with that. Sometimes you got to, and schedule falls the way it does. You got to get games when you get games. You know, obviously we travel up to Idaho State, we'll come back, then we have Tech down there, and then we'll leave on our conference opener down to Fort Lewis. So we do have some pretty good trips, but the thing about it is our guys, they do well. They travel well. It's a close-knit group of guys, and you know, it takes away all the distractions. When you are at home, there's a lot of times more distractions with family and different things, and there's a lot more work for me to do when there's a home game, so I don't mind getting on that bus and relaxing and getting there, and it'll be a great chance for us to really do, you know, those first 3 weeks to bond and do that. But, you know, whatever the schedule says we're gonna go, whether it's at Loudhair or whether it's on the road.
What are you gonna do to savor your final New Mexico trip this year?
Well, I only have to go to New Mexico Highlands, so that'll be the nice part. We don't have to go all the way down to western New Mexico. You know, you hate to lose a team. I mean, and Coach has done a great job down there with that program, and really they've been a formidable opponent, and they'll do well in the Lone Star. But for them, that was the best decision for them. Yeah, that was a long trip, you know, no doubt. And you know, now with adding Dixie, you know, that kind of made it so every year we were going to have a long trip. Now, depending on what happens in the RMAC, it'll either be, you know, that one Dixie trip or whatnot. But we'll go down to Highlands, and they got a new coaching staff, and they're going to be tough as well. They got a very athletic team, so. But I will cherish. Hopefully, I won't have to go back down to Silver City again. So. Okay. Thank you.
Damon Goldhammer, outside linebacker, junior from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Since you guys learned in the new scheme, how's that been going, especially for some of you veterans?
It's actually been going really well. You know, we have a lot of young guys that have really been picking it up the last few days. So a lot of the guys returning from the spring and stuff, we pretty much got it down already. So it's not really new to a lot of us, but like I said, the young guys, they really have been coming in, picking it up really easy, so not too worried about it.
What's your biggest adjustment personally to the new scheme?
You know, I really like that it's a lot less thinking and just flying around and playing football. You know, I don't want to say it's a simpler defense, but it's a lot easier as a player to fit in the style of defense to just fly around. So I think that'll benefit us a lot, especially since a lot of us don't have a lot of experience yet, but what we don't have in experience, we definitely make up for in talent.
How much will the confidence be, you know, obviously with a tough start, you know, at an FCS school, you know, when you get into situations, sometimes in those high-scoring games, you know, probably lose confidence, but how much can you pick up by having to get a good start, I guess?
I mean, yeah, going up and playing at those big FCS schools, obviously going in there, you're definitely the underdog. But it's a great experience for us. It's a lot of, we get to play against a lot of talent that we probably won't get to play against the rest of the year. So being able to start off the first game, seeing guys like that, and they're definitely a lot bigger and faster and stronger than a lot of teams in our conference, I think that honestly helps us out a little bit more going into season, because you know, we're definitely not going to see guys like that. So if we can go out and play hard and give everything to Idaho State, I think that'll just reflect forward how we'll play the rest of the season, which should be good.
Any others for Damon?
Thank you.
I'm Jerome Krysl. I'm a senior wide receiver from Green River, Wyoming.
Jerome, how ended last year? You were under Warren Anderson, the quarterback. This year there's going to be a new quarterback to be determined. How has that affected you and what you do, having to learn, you know, a couple of different quarterbacks?
I mean, I think they've all done a good job so far that they've been thrown into. I mean, Ward was a great quarterback, so there's going to be adjustments. But I think so far they've done well. You know, they've all come to work, and I think, yeah, we have quite the battle going right now, and every guy's giving it their best. I think that either way, you know, whoever winds up being the quarterback, I think we're going to be fine. I feel comfortable, honestly, working with any of them. So.
Has timing been an issue? Because that's usually when you get a new quarterback in a system and with the wide receivers, timing is sometimes not there. How has that been going? Have you been working a lot extra with them? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is huge. Timing is a big thing, you know, and it is different. Everybody has their own difference when they throw the way they throw the balls, just their different mobilities and just how they play. But I mean, honestly, it's not huge though. Like I said, I feel comfortable with any of them, and I think that we're making strides together for sure.
Talk about the receiving core as a whole. You're one of the veterans. You got some young guys in there too. I mean, just talk about that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Bradley Adamson and I, we returned. We started last year. We got a lot of playing time. We've been trying to lead the guys, you know. We definitely feel comfortable in what we do, but I also think that our young guys too. We have a lot of talent with the young guys. I mean, Eric Harrison Belcher. He didn't play tons last year, but he did get his opportunities, and he's super quick, and I think he's going to be big for us. And we have some other guys that are young that are picking it up, and they're getting better day by day. And I think that they're gonna be some young guys that step up and do some good things for us.
Obviously, Ward Anderson was a pretty mobile quarterback for you guys. With a new quarterback coming in this year, do you kind of feel like the offense is going to change a little bit, or are we going to see a kind of a different offense with a new quarterback?
I mean, we're doing a lot of different things just with our new offensive coordinator. There are different. I think that we will be stretching the field more, and we may have more freedom. I think that we're going to be able to go deep more often, and they're going to have to respect the deep ball with us. So we're going to be more dangerous. But yeah, I think that we'll be all right.
As a veteran, helping some of these younger wide receivers, you know, route running is very important to run the right route and run it correctly, so it helps out your quarterbacks because they expect you sometimes to be in a certain spot at a certain time. What have you and the other couple veteran receivers been doing to try to help the younger guys adapt to that?
I mean, we're around. If they have questions, we've made it clear that, you know, come to us. We'll definitely help us out because, you know, we're not, just because we're older doesn't mean that we're looking down on them or anything. Like, we want them to help just because that makes our team better. But we have been there for them. And then our receivers coach, Coach Faircloth, he's a very detail oriented. So with our routes, you know, he makes sure we have our steps right and we're doing things to the best of our abilities to be in the spot to make plays. So I think we're doing well there.
Any other questions for Jerome?
I'm Richard Nava, offensive lineman from Garland, Texas. I'm a senior this year.
What's the biggest challenge for the line this year?
Biggest challenge for this year, I think, is coming together and make sure we're on the same page, play by play, and I think we're doing a good job starting off this fall camp by doing that. I think communication is the biggest key right now, and I think we're doing a great job with that. So I think we're good on that.
When you talk about communication, you know, is that in the huddle during the beginning of the play, going up? You know, talk about that a little bit on what you really do.
Communication in all aspects, off the field, during film, you know, communicate where's our errors and stuff, and I think that's where we learn the most. On the field as well, we communicate where we're going, what we're doing, and I think that's the biggest thing right now that is improving, and will get better.
Obviously, your guys' role is the key. You know, you got to get those holes for the running backs and protect the quarterback. You got a lot on the plate for the offense, and which has been you know, a good offense throughout the years. Talk about that, and you know, how important is it for you guys to really be a cohesive unit?
I think that, like you said, yeah, that's a big thing. But what makes us good is just how physical we are and how we've been coached by our Coach Nava, our offensive line coach, and I think we won't have any trouble. We practice hard and we try our best, and I think it should help us out, especially with the running backs.
With a new offensive coordinator, how does your scheme change on the offensive line? Is there a lot of adjustments you have to make, or is it pretty similar still?
It's pretty similar. Nothing really changed. Just different calls and stuff. You know, we just gotta make sure there's different calls here and there, and we just gotta make sure we, like I said, it's mental preparation, and you know, just make sure we're always on the same page.
And also got a couple holes to fill on the offensive line with some new personnel coming in this year. How's that looking?
I think it's looking great. I think the the holes are being filled by young, talented players, and there's no doubt in my mind that they would, progress down the road. And I think it'll be good for us.
Any others for Richard? All right, thanks, Richard. All three of these guys, along with Zach Meyer, JJ Kilgore, Fidel Harris, and Ben Shabakin, will be available for one-on-ones. We'll just have them spread out throughout the room here, and you guys have at it. Thank you.